So one of my resolutions in 2020, if you could believe it, was to always leave work on time and to set firm boundaries. Now you gotta remember, this was before there was any notion that we would have all sorts of tensions as a result of pandemic or resignations. Nobody had dreamed up about that back in January of 2020, so this was a very different time when I made the resolution. Now, unfortunately, 3 months into the resolution, all that changed, and I felt I let the resolution kind of slide by the wayside because I really wanted to demonstrate how much I helped out during the pandemic. You got to remember, March of 2020, this was a 2-week affair, right? So I filled in for a lot of my colleagues. Unfortunately, 2 weeks became 2 months, which then became 2 years. Now, what's really upsetting is that I learned the hard way that a lot of times when my coworkers ask for help, as soon as the situation resolves itself, right? As soon as the worst of the pandemic is done with, they got their vaccines, they feel comfortable going into the office again, even though that might not be so true. They feel comfortable again. They forget about it. It's like 2019 jumped directly into today, right? A lot of my colleagues feel that way, and I feel all the effort I put into it, maybe I didn't have to, right? Not to say it was a complete waste, but it feels like maybe some of those times where I filled in when it wasn't exactly comfortable to do so, maybe I didn't have to. So I kind of took that to heart. Now, 3 weeks ago, I started a job at the tutoring center where I'm working right now. I had a troubling situation my first day on the job. One of my coworkers came up to me, said hello, and she looked really excited to see me. And I got concerned because at a previous job, I had an 18-year-old girl who was interested in me and hitting on me, and when I didn't respond, I felt she sabotaged my situation at work. I really do. I don't really have proof of it, but it made the situation at work very toxic, and it made it especially toxic because I couldn't even complain about it, right? If I complain that this girl is hitting on me, it's going to sound like I'm trying to hit on her, right? And so it made it really confusing that I had to handle all of this on my own. And what really hit me was one day I had a shift from 3 to 7, and it looked like she wasn't going to come in, but she had called out sick. But later, she came at 4 and said after she took a COVID test and it was negative, she was okay with coming in. And when I heard that, my heart just sank. I thought I had the day free of her. And after that, it didn't take long before I quit that job. I realized I can't work in a situation like that. Not only for my sake, but for hers as well when I'm handling it this way with her. So fast forward 3 months later, now this girl who's much older than her comes to say hello to me, and I instantly seize up. And I completely shut down, which meant I really couldn't talk anymore, so I was listening to her, which was one of the most beautiful things I ever did, because very rarely do I sit down and listen. Usually I like to talk way too much, right? And so she talks and talks and talks and jabbers about what she did on the 4th of July weekend with her husband. And when I heard the word husband, that's when I relaxed. Ah, thank God she's not looking for somebody, or at least maybe not, right? And so that is good. And we got a conversation going, and we've become close, but in a friendly way. So that's good. Now, where it really helped out is that yesterday she had something and had to leave early, but she didn't let me know until later that day. And she was like, "Can you also teach this thing from 3 to 4?" It was a student who's doing AP Physics. And I had been up really early that morning because I had a computer Olympiad contest. These are with people in Paris, and so I was up very early. And by 3, I wasn't in any mood to be teaching anybody. So I went up to the students and said, can we do this tomorrow around this time? Because I started the day really early today. And I didn't feel uncomfortable asking my colleague as well. And I told her, the students are okay with it. Why don't we switch it to tomorrow? And so that was good. Had I not landed that conversation with my coworker and became on friendly terms, I might have felt tempted to do this shift to kind of make up for that. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when you say yes to one shift, you're not just saying yes to that one. You're kind of setting a precedence for, oh my God, anything that comes last minute, I can give to this guy, right? That's the kind of problem I ran into at the university where I was teaching as an adjunct professor, at the tutoring center, at a startup company that I worked at many years ago. I set the precedence that if an emergency came up at 2 in the morning, people could call me, right? I really did set up that precedence, and that's the last thing you want to do. And unfortunately, here's where priorities come into play. Because I didn't want to spend 10 minutes talking to my coworker in the past, because I was nervous, because I didn't want to deal with nonsense, I didn't want to think outside of my bounds, right? Because I didn't want to spend 10 minutes every day, I ended up wasting a lot of hours every day working overtime when I didn't have to.